All right, welcome to my little 14 panel tutorial. It's gonna be pretty quick, but yeah, let's get into it. So these are the panels used to make 14 panel. 6 squares and 8 hexagons. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead, trace them onto this, cut them out, and then teach you how to stitch. Some of the other things I have are a filling, which I've already pre-mixed, pair of scissors. Smaller are really good for getting small, tight, sharp, accurate cuts. This is a socket for 14 panels. It's a 13/16 inch socket, and we use a gather, and I'll show you how that comes in handy later. Needle, glue, and thread. I have this little steel sheet and a magnet, which helps keep that in place. Totally unnecessary. But I'll be right back when I trace these out. All right, so here they are cut out, traced rather, and cut them out now. All right, so we are back. Got all the panels cut out. Before we start stitching, I want to talk about what the stitching is actually doing. So you always start on the triangle side. You go in through this side and you're going to come out this way. It'll make more sense when I show you on the actual panels, but what you really want to focus on is getting 4 full stitches on the square side. So we'll have 4 stitches here, 4 stitches here, 4 stitches here, and 4 stitches here. And then they'll come out and we'll tie a knot here. So there's going to be 8 holes here and 10 holes here. And the reason there's an extra 2 holes is because you have an entry hole and an exit hole. So keeping that in mind, what we'll do is we'll get a string, and we'll get the string about 1.5 feet, just over a foot. All right, pull it there. And what I'll do is I'll hold it with my pinky and then twist it. So the string, it could just come off, but this being wound up is keeping it from coming off. So we'll start just with the square and with a triangle. It's really a hexagon, but I'll call it a triangle. So fabric has 2 sides. This will be a little better. The fabric has 2 sides. One is like a felty side that you can see, like the suede, you can see fingerprints in it. That's what you want to face out. And the other side, normally you'll see like some pen marks. That side is what you want to have on the inside. See the pen marks on it? This is the suede side you want out. So what you want to do is you want to put the suede outside parts touching and facing into each other, because we're building it inside out, or and then when we flip it inside out, it'll be just the nice side out, and you're not going to see the inside. So what you do is you always start on the triangle side. And I'll start with the hole right in the corner here. All right, just like that. Pull it all the way through, leaving about 6 to 8 inches. And then we'll go back through this side. So 2 things you want to keep in mind when stitching is keeping a consistent bite. Here, maybe I'll do this. Keeping a consistent bite, which is the distance from here to the outside, and then the consistent stitch distance. So what you see here is we have 1 stitch, and we want 3 more, creating 4 stitches, even stitches along this whole way. So we're on this side, go through here. 2. 3. Let's see. And make sure you're keeping the top lined up. All right, and 4. So look at that. 4 nice and even stitches. And that alone is really hard to do. It'll take some practice. But once you have 4, you can see we have, 4 stitches, meaning 8 holes. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You'd have 1 for this entry and then 1 for the exit. So to add another panel, you do is you open it up. And when you're adding panels, you always add small sides together. So typically what you're doing is you're adding a triangle to another triangle. So what you do is on the side that we're going to start stitching on, we line up the small sides. Remember, keeping what we want facing out in. That's a good close-up. You can see the felt, and then on this side, it's not as felty or suede-y. So what you do is you line this up, just like that. We'll go in, leaving, staying pretty close, right about there. All right, so now they're connected. So technically that'd be the 10th hole. And then we line up just like we did at the beginning, making sure you're keeping this corner in line with this corner, and then these 2 corners together. Just like that. And then we'll do 4 stitches. Two. 3. Let's see. And 4. So both attached, and you can see 4 even stitches on both sides. One good tip is to try to keep these pretty close and tight. So the more symmetrical these are, really, to make a consistent bag, like I said before, I can't stress enough, consistent bite and consistent stitch distance. So that's 2 out of 4 done. What we'll do is we'll add another one. Remember, suede sides in, short sides together, and then we'll connect it. So then we'll rotate, line the sides up. Right there, keeping it nice, tight, and consistent. And we'll do 4 stitches. It's a little hard working over the phone. So these are a little less consistent, you can tell, but they have a good bite distance, so we're not going to have any problems with the fabric twisting and creating possible holes. So I'll just add one more. Short sides together, connect it, rotate, line your corners up, and then we'll do 4 stitches. That's 2. So a good way of thinking about it is, splitting it down the middle. You have 2, 2. And then this middle stitch on this side should be centered in this one. So it's slightly off, but That's just a way to kind of keep you in check. Another good tip before you even start stitching is to draw a line here, and then you can make sure that this stitch goes over that line. Let's see. So these are really close, which is not ideal, but it'll work. I mean, you can see how small that fourth stitch is. So what I should have done is made these three a bit closer, but that should be all right. And then you line the short sides up. And since we didn't connect these in the first place, we'll go ahead and connect them. All right, so what you should have all 4 panels attached to the center square. And then they should both be coming out right side by side next to each other, just like that. So stitching the first panel is done. Now before we tie it, we have to decide how much we should tighten it. And so basically, if we were to tie it right now, there'd be holes, you know, it's not tight. We want to actually create it and give it some, you know, using this for example, it's different design, but you know, there's ripples in it. You can't see the stitches. Very different, right? So what we do is we take the socket, we lay this flat out, put the socket in the center, and then just give it a nice pull. Once we pull it a little bit, you see kind of how the scrunch is uneven, especially like right here. So I'll go in and pull it and just kind of work with the fabric a little bit to try to get it, you know, nice and consistent. So the idea is that we do this, and then all of them together, they all have the same size. So boom, just like that. I know it's a little scrunched up here and scrunched up here, but once the bag is all together, that'll kind of even itself out. And then this is a part, and that is associated with where the strings come out, and then we're going to tie a knot, and that'll pull it all together. So I think that's looking pretty good. Put it on my magnet just to keep it in place, but you don't need the magnet. And then you can see how, oh, it doesn't really work. 2 strings, nothing, it's not like they're twisted like that. Have them open. I'll do a nice, tight, just normal knot. Then I'll do a square knot. Not pulling too tight, because sometimes when you're on this step, after the first knot or two, it'll actually slip and it'll over tighten. That's what you don't want. But just be gentle, give it a good tug for the first 2 knots, first 2 or 3. And then after the third, it's really locked in place. So from then on, what I'll do is I'll do 10 knots. I don't exactly count every time, but I really, really, really don't want this to come undone. So I will do a lot of knots. And then as something we'll do on top of that is I'll take this super glue right here and I'll glue them all before I turn them inside out. Then there's no way that they'll come apart. One more. Pretty good. Take my scissors and I'll cut them, leaving about 1 centimeter. And just like that, we have our first panel done. Sometimes I can go in, you know, like this is slightly tighter than this side, you know, work it. But when the bag's all together and it kicks, it should do it itself. So we can go ahead, over here, we'll add our second square. So get my string, about 1.5 feet, maybe a little less, my needle. Twist it to keep it from coming off. And then our first step is going to be adding a square. We'll add a square right here. So from here on out, the only exception is this last one. We'll always start by connecting the small sides. So we connect the small sides anyway, but when we actually start it, there's not two pre-existing ones already there. So we're going to connect these two. Leaving about 6 to 8 inches. And then again, suede sides in, lining up the corners. We're doing the exact same thing. See that? Looks pretty in line, but honestly, I'd say that's pretty deep. So I'm going to pull it out and redo it. So that's 1. 2. 3. 4. Nice and consistent. Not perfect, but perfect is the goal. And then we'll add another one. Suede sides in, small sides together. We'll connect them. We'll rotate, line the corners up, and then we'll do 4 stitches. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. We'll add one more panel. I'll just go ahead and show you. If it makes sense, skip a little bit till we get to the next panel, and go from there. Inside, rotate, line the corners up, 4 stitches. A lot of repetition. All right, so we've done 3 of the 4. And now, instead of adding another one, we only have 2 left. Since we made it side by side, this one is already just waiting to be lined up. So we'll just, instead of just taking one from our pile over there, we're gonna do the exact same thing, just not add one. So line the small sides up, connect them, line the corners up, and 4 stitches. more. So that looks pretty good. Nice and tight. And then on this side, both of them are coming out right next to each other. Just like that. So do the exact same thing. Lay them out flat. Put our socket in. And so this can be done without a socket. Just the socket really helps with the consistency of it. I'm making sure to apply downward pressure on the socket so the fabric doesn't slip under it. So that tightened pretty good just on first pull. Look on this side. Looks pretty good. Have them spread apart. Do one knot. Let's say like 60% pull. Then a second one at 80. And then the third knot, it's fully locked into place. I'll do a few more. Each of these, I'm getting a good tug at the end. All right, just like that, we have 2 of them done. So if you want to really look for is making sure that this is flat and in line with these. And if you've done everything right so far, it should come out pretty consistent. And then everything on from here on out is pretty much the same, except for when you add this one, I like to stitch right to left. Yeah, right to left. So I'll start here. I'll add this. I'll stitch this side, then I'll stitch this side. I'll add one panel for this side, and then I'll stitch this side. So we have 3 of the panels covered. We only need to add 1 more. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get through 3 of these, and I'll come back on the last. All right, here's just a little check-in, and you probably tell the quality is a little bit better. I had a screen protector over my camera lens that was broken and decided to take it off. So hopefully you can see a little better, and it wasn't too bad before. But I've got 4 of the 6 squares done, and I've used all 8 triangles already, hexagons. So where the next 2 are gonna go is this one. I'm gonna start here, stitch this side. I'll do 1, 2, 2 here, 3 on this side, and then 4 on this side. And then that'll just leave the last one. You can clearly see the spot for 4. And I'll check in after I'll stitch this one, and I'll stitch this 3 sides, and then that's where it gets a little different. All right, so I'm about to start the last panel. Before I stitch, I went ahead and glued them all because you don't want the glue to be wet when you invert it. That's key. And then also, when you get your string, you want the string to be longer than any of the other ones, and you want the string to be about 2 feet. You want it to be significantly longer. All right, I'll be back. All right, so I've stitched everything but this last side. So I'm gonna go ahead, just like normal, I'm gonna connect the last 2 triangles. And then, normally this would be completely fine. See how there's no cinch, but because when it's inside out, we're not gonna be able to fit this in here. We're gonna go ahead and just have to manually do the gather. So what I do is I pull both sides all the way, and then I'll loosen it to match these. So that looks pretty good. looks pretty good. You don't have to get it perfect because when it's on the outside of the bag, you can still adjust it. But generally, that is about what you want. Just really what you want to go ahead and just pull it some, because once it's all the way together, it's really hard to get this side by pulling both of these. So now all we have to do is this last side. We're still going to do 4 stitches. We're going to line up this side, line up this side. Gets really tight, stiff to work with on the last one. All right, and then these 4 stitches, what we want to do is we want to make them really loose. So when we're pulling it, we want to leave about that much on every single one. So we're going to have 8 of these loops. All right. It's right about there. And you want the ones in the center to be the longest. And you can make them all the same. It's typically what I do. But just to think. All right. So this is finishing up our second stitch. Just like that. We're about halfway. So we got 2 more stitches to go. I super glued it, and I got glue on the inside, and that makes it pretty stiff, and that's why it's a little harder to work with. Three. And one more. 4. All right, and that last one, a little tight, but it's all right, it'll do. Another thing is you want to try to not make it come out the same hole. See how these are our 2 strings that we'll end up tying. They're really coming out the same hole, so I'm going to try to move that over just a little bit. Just so the knot really stays secure. You can see that, how now they're not using the same hole. Pull it all the way through, leaving a little extra, and then you're done with the needle for now. So this is what it looks like. All right. And then what we'll do, making sure these are together, kind of out of the way, we'll pull it apart, just like that. And we want to try to get a big opening in the middle, and we're actually going to push the bag inside out. So I have a pen that I like to use each time. And so the middle one is going to be right here. It's this hole. And you can choose any of these, but I like to choose right in the middle. I'm using this. So what I'll do is I'll stick my finger in it. And then from the back side, I'll push the pen through, and I'll use my finger, pull it back out. I'll use my finger to guide that inside of the bag out. And then you just want to work it a little bit. Once it's pushed through like that, I'll go ahead and pull the pen out. And then just pull it like that. Boom. First time this bag's been inside out. So at this point, just kind of even it all out a little bit. And then these 2 strings are coming right out of the middle of the bag. And that's what we don't want. We're not able to tie it right here because this is going to cinch and then it'll lock these up. So what we do is we find where these two are entering. So we can see they're coming out and it's these strings right here. So I'll go in and I'll grab these two strings with my tweezers and I'll pull them out. So then what you're really looking for is when you pull these straight, it's definitely a little confusing, but when you pull these straight, they're against the corner and there's nothing, like they're not interfering with anything. So we can tie a knot and it's not going to get over anything. So I'm going to go ahead and weigh my stuff out, and then we're going to use the funnel to put it in and we'll finish it up. All right, so I just got it all weighed out, rubber and steel. This is the breakdown, just for my own records. And then use the funnel, put it all the way in the bottom of the bag, dump it all in, and then just work it. All right, nice and filled. Oh. Let's see. Done with that, done with that, done with the string, done with that. All right. And then so now it's just the tightening. One side, one string is going to tighten this side. Kind of see. And then this string is going to tighten all these. But when you pull this, it'll tighten that first one. See it scrunching? And then like none of these start cinching. So what I do is I work from about the middle. I'll pull this one. And so these all need to go in. So I'll push them in, pulling the string. And you just kind of work it. It is hard. Let's see. All right. And I like to over tighten it, just, by a little bit, because then you can go in and even that gather out. All right. So, looking at this one and looking at this one, it's slightly tighter. So I'll go ahead and loosen it some more. Just make sure to match it up. And I think that's pretty good. So what I'll do is I'll pull it out. And this is the side, like I showed you before, when we pulled the string out from the loose string into the corner, we still got that corner poking out. So I'm gonna shorten these strings just to make them easier to deal with. And then we're gonna go tie a knot, just like we've been doing. So the first one, just a little tight. Second one, lock it in, and then the third one, it's not going anywhere. So instead of doing about 10 knots, I like to do 5 or 6, and I'll show you why. Let's try one more. All right, so now what we do is we have this knot. Get a little closer look. And this knot, we don't want to be able to see it anymore. So I'll cut one of the strings off. And then remember to glue it. And in this step, it's really crucial that you don't get it on the fabric. So that's a lot more than I need And normally what I would do is I would wait for it to dry, but you can already tell I'm doing this. Use your fingers and the glue will harden. Just work it into the knot, stays in the knot. I don't think there's as much glue as it would be, but I'm not worried about that not going anywhere. And then last, one of my favorite parts, take this one string. We got it through the needle. I thread it through the needle. Just like that. And then you can kind of see there's a hole. You want to stick your needle down in there. And you don't want there to be much resistance. So if there's a lot of resistance, you're going through the fabric. That is not what you want. You don't want to go through the fabric. So put it in there. Just kind of work it. This one's really tight, so it is a little harder. Oh, there it goes. And then I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna try to go into one of these. I'm gonna try to get it into one of these seams, the needle. I'm literally pushing that needle through. All right, see, pull through. I'm gonna give it a good tug. A nice tug. I don't know if that did it. Boom. Pull it all the way through, and just like that. It left a little glue, so if you waited long enough, that glue wouldn't show. But that knot is now pulled inside through the bag. So push it down, cut it, and just like that, your bag is done. Now this is the one we finished on. It's tight, but we pulled it tight on purpose. So we can go in, just work it out. Just like that. There's your Charlie bag.